The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Atlas Chiropractic Center of Escanaba, Michigan, Largent Media, or any of their affiliates or subsidiaries. The material and information presented in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Should you need medical attention or advice, seek out a licensed medical professional or facility in your area. The Tapping Into Uncomfortable with Reade Hubert DC name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.
Welcome to Tapping Into Uncomfortable, where we take mental gymnastics to the next level. We stick the landing for a perfect 10 in the cerebral uneven bars, and when we do, we raise our arms and yell, "The Riff!" That was awesome. By the way, my friends, we have been contacted by a co-leader of this program who said they get riffified. So, my friends, you have been riffified. Oh, by the way, you are absolutely amazing. Think about this statistic because you take it for granted. Your heart beats at about 100,000 times a day. If you live to 77 and a half years old, your heart will have beaten 2.8 billion times and 77 and a half years. If you ever do not think you are amazing, go back to that statistic. Just released this month, and this month when you're listening to this is March. The U.S. just got its lowest ranking ever in the happiest countries, or the most content. We were ranked number 24. We keep dropping. Number 1 again was Finland. Number 2 is Denmark. Number 3 was Iceland. So let's try to help you with that. So what is on the non-GMO menu? Number 1, words matter. Number 2, abbreviations matter. Then we're going to answer the longest answer ever in Q&A. Is medication in the environment the new PFAS or forever chemicals? And then we're going to hit you with the new Q&A. So let's do this.
Tapping Into Uncomfortable University presents The Evolution of Communication.
Zerg, Zerg, big man, make fire. Hand me my quill and ink. You can leave now. Hello? Check out this new phone. It's called a cell phone. It's just under 3 pounds.
You have a new text message. You have a new text message. You have a new text message.
Wow, I can see your face on the phone when I'm talking to you. I can't tell time. The phone's not reading for me. The phones are down.
Signal lost. Signal lost. Signal lost. Signal lost.
So welcome to You Stink. After last podcast, it's time for some different offerings. Did you just get offended by what I said? Probably not. Have you ever sat and wondered why, if I said, you stink, really didn't make a big difference, did it? Because what we're actually taught in society is we are taught to make emotion connected to specific words. So that if you make words emotional, that's going to affect you and you're probably going to act a specific way. So what I'm asking you to do is to constantly choose to diffuse these words different. Don't empower these words. So let's go through a couple things. What would actually happen to you if words couldn't hurt you? If you diffused them or you did a much better job of not letting them get to you. See, we're taught that. Your mom, your dad, society said this particular word is this particular issue. And here's how you are to react, depending on what country you're in. I learned this decades ago. Before there was internet, I had the great honor of meeting somebody who was actually raised in England, but spent their adult life in the U.S. And I always wanted to know, because when we see it on TV, I wanted to know what the term bloody meant. Now, there's a possibility by saying bloody in America right now, no big deal. My podcast will still be clean. There's a couple words we're going to discuss that may make it unclean in other countries. So it's going to be a warning for our listeners, the riffers in England and some other countries, that they might get offended by this. But the most amazing thing happened when I had asked this individual, what does the term bloody mean? They looked down. Their face had complete disgust. They never looked me in the eye, and they said that that term is synonymous with the F word in the U.S. Now, this is a person who hasn't been living in England for many decades. Still, the power that was in that word, which to me means absolutely nothing. Stoicism is a Greek philosophy, and I highly recommend some folks look into it. From the standpoint of not making words hurt. They're just words. But here's something that's fascinating about it, that this may actually be able to help you. Sometimes it's not even the words. And I'm going to say all the time it's not any words because it's just a word. There's two things connected to that word. The person who's saying it and what is their intent. Now, if that person is saying it and whatever their intent is, that gives you two things to work on. You're going to be fascinated when you actually try to get back to, in a Stoic sense, that words are neutral. Now, check out this next word. This one will actually probably get me in trouble with losing my cleanliness of this podcast, tapping it into uncomfortable. And it comes from England again, and bloody old England, right? Oh, don't get mad at me. It's the term bugger. If you look it up, I'm not going to talk about it. But if you look up what bugger means, you'll never call your children that again, or a situation goes something that's very difficult in the U.S. when you look at that term. But if you go overseas and you start calling people that, you'll probably get one to the kisser. But that's the weight we put on particular words. Now, something that this country really needs right now. We need to put a magnifying glass on words when it comes to our politics. See, folks, instead of actually taking politics and calming us down, we're at an age where they will pay think tanks massive amount of money to change our words. So something recently happened within the last 10 years. If I said that you have to pay an estate tax, you could absolutely care less because you don't think you have an estate after you die. Until somebody changed the words so that they could help push a bill so that you could get upset by going, a death tax. Yeah, why am I getting a death tax? But folks, it was the same thing as an estate tax. But once they changed the wording, people got so riled up, called their Congress people, and actually got some bills passed just by changing the words. And it's across the board everywhere. They actually experiment on what to come out and talk to you with. So if there's a united front, these people will come out and they'll all say the same key words consistently for a week or two, and they'll see if it sticks. And it actually works because it's our fault. And if you diffuse that and you see through that, you'll never really get wound up and you'll actually get to see what's going on. And right now, an absolutely one or two person's name gets people blood pressure's up, gets them angry. Folks, we're in the middle. We need to stop this. And what we need to stop is we need to stop empowering words and understand that when they're trying to get you to be empowered by a particular word, and they're getting caught right now because these words actually lead to wars and these words actually lead to violence. And that's not what we need right now. We need everybody just to calm down. We need to bring this to you consciously because with social media, it's needed more than ever. There's social engineering terms that are being changed right now. You'll see it. What I want you to do is be conscious. This is something that you can work in with the thought category. And last but not least, when it comes to healthcare, there is absolutely one massively small word that is no longer in our lexicon, if you would say it. Are you ready? Here's a word you don't like to hear, so we're removing it. It's 2 letters, and it's the minimum word you can make, and it's called no. Because we do not use no anymore, from our servers to our doctors to our politics and healthcare and religions, it's actually harming us. Because when we used to say no to people, what would happen is the responsibility in healthcare is on you. Or, no, this isn't a good idea, and here's the reason why. It's better for you if you lose weight and exercise. Here's the reasons why, and we'll help you do that. No, I as a doctor will not do what you want because it's not good for you. Because what happens when you hear no? You get upset. You get mad. Bad doctors say no. You'll actually go to different doctors to get what you want. And I see it time and again from my office to people going out and that doctor's not getting what I want, or they're not listening to me because they told me no. I think in healthcare that we need to get used to that again for our benefit. Probably one of the smallest words makes a huge issue. And here's something that we never thought about. The lack of no is ending up in our school system. Before it is, here's what we're going to do, and this is the way it is, and here's the way you're going to treat people, and here's how you're going to act, and here's our classroom behavior. And if a teacher nowadays actually said no, they're more than likely going to have to deal with the parent. If you really want to listen to this and watch and learn, you're going to see how we removed it, and it's part of marketing across the board. I think it's absolutely fascinating. Oh yeah, by the way, you still stink. Did you get mad? Alrighty, folks. This is called Abbreviations Matter. When it comes to healthcare, it is very important that you have differing opinions on some of your health decisions. We always like well-rounded people that it requires a team. So abbreviations DC, MD, DO, MSW, DDS, RN, PA, LAC, PT, etc. can be very, very good for you to get a differing opinion at a different angle so that maybe if you do need to be medicated, it's remarkably less than what we're seeing now. So here's something fascinating about abbreviations and why it matters a lot in healthcare. There's 2 countries in the world that allow drug companies to advertise directly to you. And those countries are the United States and New Zealand. What an odd pairing. Of all the countries in the world, those are the 2. Now, the reason why it's gone directly to consumer is because laws within the states or within the professions have decreased the ability to get drug reps to the doctor. And there's many things they can't do. Drug pens, drug pads, all this stuff. So there's no advertising getting to the doctors. So what did they do? They went after the patient or the prospective patient. Now, they say that there's actual studies that are done that prove that the effectiveness of drugs directly to consumer is actually a positive. And they said they actually came out and said, I don't know how they came to this conclusion, that the majority of it was misdiagnosis and that by the patient talking to the doctor was going to listen and go, oh, yeah, you might be right and try this medication. But here's why abbreviations really matter. Because what they're doing right now is they're abbreviating everything so that you can remember it, so it'll be part of your talk. When they go to make a drug, they use X's, Y's, V's, and Z's, and they do that because the name that they're going to put millions and millions of dollars behind has to be patented. So when they patent or they trademark that name, it can't be close to anything else. That's why a lot of these letters are used. We've talked about this before. They use colors, they use jingles, and the emotion of the people that are in there. So where do these abbreviations come in? What I'm seeing in my office consistently, especially the last 5 years, is patients are coming in with their issues. So you hear the word, a person comes in and says, I have RLS, restless leg syndrome. I have ED, which is, you're all being driven crazy right now because the patent is run off on the ED drugs. And now you're seeing all the generics that are popping up. If they can make a drug, then they can market it without the big name of the disease that it's for. It will involve 2 letters, 3 letters, 4, rarely anything past 4. So when you see a drug commercial on TV, it's about getting it into your head. And one of the ways they can do that is change the language and how you talk. And then they ground you to it. Well, check this out. The 4 T's as a topic. We always had 3. I just made the 4th so that you could easily remember thoughts, toxins, trauma, and traits. When a patent of 20 years runs out on a drug, it goes into a generic drug and makes drugs a little bit easier for us to consume or to buy. But if you can take that drug, put a new condition with a 2, 3, or 4 letter word on it, remarket that drug for that condition, you can sell much more in the generic form. And that's happening too. So what I wanted you to know, folks, is words matter, abbreviations matter, because it changes our language, changes our mind, and it's something you have to be conscious of. It's fascinating, isn't it? YSS. You still stink. Nope, folks, lots of love, so much so that I wanted to bring this to your consciousness because you are going to see it everywhere if you look for it, and it will help you diffuse words and abbreviations. So be on the lookout. So are medications in the environment forever chemicals? Yes. I mean, no. Yes. I mean, no. Yes. I mean, no. Oh, thank you. I needed that. Folks, words matter. So I want you to understand exactly what's happening when it comes to this medication in the environment. Because what's going to happen when they decide to change the words to make things make sense, to keep things the way they are, that's how this is going to get done. So we're actually going to teach you some brutality of organic chemistry. I don't miss it, by the way, from my undergrad. However, we're going to teach you a little bit of that. So let's just go to the word PFAS. PFAS stands for per, a chemical word, or watch this now. This is how words matter. PFAS stands for per or polyfluoroalkyl substances. All you need to know about that, folks, is that it's human-made. It is not found in nature. When we talk about fluorine, we are not talking about fluoride. If fluorine had a baby, it would be fluoride. Now, fluorine is a toxic gas. But what they're able to do in organic chemistry is they're able to take the fluorine atom. They connect the fluorine atom to carbon. And what ends up happening is you start to get this many fluoroalkyl substances. Now, when that fluorine, not fluoride, connects to that carbon, it makes a bond that is so unbelievably strong. That's why things are so stable. Plastics and all this other stuff. Now check this out. I said poly. Poly means many. Now when I add 2 of those atoms to that carbon, it gets even stronger. Now check this out. Now when I add 3 of those fluorine atoms to that carbon, it gets extremely strong. And that's what we're dealing with. That's just a small subsection. There's much more to it. But what I wanted you to know is that when you have 3 fluorine atoms, that's when it becomes polyfluoroalkyl. And this is where it gets into the big picture. Some of your medications have this organic fluorine. Here's what's happening in Europe right now. Europe is finally getting to the point it wants to ban all PFAS, all that polyfluoroalkyl, all of it. They don't want anything to do with it because it is so destructive to our lakes and our rivers. Then they realized if they were to ban all PFAS, which is organic fluorine, that it would literally wipe out hundreds of medications. They figure if that passes, 20% of all medications contain organic fluorine. So when you're excreting it, when it's coming out and it's flushing into our lakes and our rivers, yes, that would be PFAS. But it will not be PFAS if we change the wording. Now check out what they're doing. Remember when I talked about 1 atom, 2 atom, 3 atom? Stop it. This is stupid to continue to go with this organic chemistry. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to figure out a way to define PFAS to include medication. This is going to do this for them. It's going to buy them time to figure out a different recipe to make drugs greener. When they become greener, then they're going to advertise how much greener they are for the environment. An absolutely fantastic, wonderful article I highly recommend that answers a ton of this and what's going on in Europe and America right now. Go to C ampersand. Ampersand is the and. It's above number 7 on your keyboard, EN. And you can punch in our fluorinated drugs PFAS. It's a great article. It's not full of chemistry, and it answers a ton of questions and what they're going to have to deal with when it comes to medications in the environment. We have OF and our H2O. It turns to TFA. Enjoy your fish fillet. Whoa! The new Q&A, folks, is where does health come from? And what I mean from that is, does health come from the inside or does health come from the outside? So where does your health come from? So as always, I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy. And I want you to just be. This whole podcast is based on a book. Be on the lookout for 4 T's to a Better You, a blueprint for identifying and addressing the 4 causes of sickness. You'll be able to buy it just about everywhere.